Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I'm glad nobody got injured in the process of the walls coming down or going up. I think it would have been more comical to see someone get injured while they went up, although there'd be someone up at the top, which wouldn't be good. We got three really exciting things left to do. Of course, one of those is the panel that we have coming up for you, followed by a quick conversation with one another, and of course, the social hour after the conclusion of that. So without further delay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to introduce you to someone really quickly who probably doesn't need a lot of an introduction in this particular community. I want to introduce you to Reed Tilston. And so those who know him, some of this will be repetitive. Those that don't, of course, won't. But Reed not only teaches ETA here at Case Western Reserve University, but he was also instrumental in co-creating, in one of the critical voices in co-creating the curriculum for entrepreneurship through acquisition courses at the Chicago School of Business. He's lectured at several different academic institutions such as Dartmouth, the University of California, University of Chicago, and is currently teaching ETA both at Brigham Young University, Marriott School of Business, and right here at Case Western Reserve University. Reed himself has nearly 20 years of hands-on experience acquiring, growing, and selling businesses, and he brings those real-world lessons into the classroom, which is always something that people enjoy. He's worked with brands like Harley-Davidson, John Deere, Microsoft, and his insights have been featured in the likes of Wall Street Journal. And those of you know the Reed really well, he'll probably run up here. He's run up the tallest building. I think most recently he climbed the tallest mountain, Everest. So he's done some pretty cool things. Reed's going to talk about some of the ETA intensives that you have available to you, some of the resources that are available on your journey to become backable through ETA. And so as I'm welcoming Reed up here, I'm going to ask Mark if you can cue up that quick video that we have ready to go. As Mark's queuing up that video, just join me in welcoming Reed up to the stage.
Entrepreneurial ambition into real business ownership. Get in on the action to buy, build, renew. Weatherhead ETA Intensives are 3-day immersive courses designed to jumpstart your progress. Join the most robust ETA community in the world with direct access to everything you need to succeed. Education, advisors, capital, saleable businesses, and credible buyers. The Buyer Preparation course guides you through the buy-side playbook. Map your search and diligence, target the right company, and outline your first 100 days for day one leadership. The Owner Sales Readiness course helps you clarify where you're headed from the start. Savvy business owners begin their ownership journey with the end in mind. Learn how to build your roadmap to increase your business value and personal satisfaction. Be deal ready to make strategic moves when the time is right. Led by practitioner and professor Reed Tilston and guest with real-world experience, both courses deliver tools for you to put into practice right away.
Here at Weatherhead, we will teach you how to have an ownership mentality. We will teach you how to go out and do this.
Accelerate your career in ETA and register today. Don't be left out. Buy, build, renew with Weatherhead ETA.
Well, first and foremost, I was going to say that congratulations to you all. So much about deal sourcing is being the last person standing, and you have all made it through this day till the very end, so give yourselves a round of applause for that. We're going to end things well. The best is yet to come. It's my first time seeing that video, so Jackie, thank you so much for putting that together. Very nicely done. So 2 things to talk about. One is that we do a 3-day intensive for individuals that are looking to buy a business. You could know nothing about ETA and be very early in the process. In addition, you could be someone that has an LOI signed, 100% sure that you're going to close that deal and become a practitioner. We will help accelerate your journey at any point that you're at. It is 3 intense days of me, a ton of guests, We will make it highly pragmatic and highly practical for you. We do things like work with some of the brokers here to bring in live deals where you can talk to a live seller, give them feedback on the opportunity, and go from there. Anyone in here attended one of the buyer workshops? Kevin, how was your experience? Right on, right on. Give it up for Kevin. We've had a number of students, including Denise, who acquired a company. We have a number of students that are in the sauce, in the trenches right now, out there looking to acquire, including Jen back there. So it's a super exciting time. In addition to having a course for people that want to acquire a business, we are also doing a course for individuals that own businesses, talking about positioning to sell. You could be thinking about selling the company in 30 years. You could be thinking about selling the company in 3 days. We will teach you what the right frameworks are to think about that. One unique thing about what we're doing here in Cleveland and Case Western is that in addition to the great practitioner experience that we have, we are also building best-in-class ETA research and academics. So for the course for sellers, we're going to walk you through some of the drivers of unsatisfied versus satisfied sellers, research that we have done here at Case Western. We will also bring in individual buyers to give you feedback on your opportunities, valuation, market strategy, all that good stuff from there. In these courses, we cap the number of people in them, but we'll actually have more guests, whether they be brokers, exited sellers, strategic advisors, than we will have actual practitioners. So we make it very guest intensive. Sometimes people ask, why are you teaching these courses for business sellers and for business buyers? We have no vested interest in it. But what we do believe is that in the marketplace, a lot of the education that's out there for business owners is because someone wants something from you, right? They want to hire you as an investment banker. They want you to list with their brokerage firm. Maybe they want you to do an ESOP, which are all great options. But we're interested in having unbiased education so that individual sellers can have satisfied outcomes. And the truth is, I've bought and sold a number of businesses. I've felt this from the practitioner standpoint, but even people that have exits that put them well into the 1%, a lot of them are not satisfied. And we care about the individual satisfaction for the business seller. So 2 things. Got a class for buyers. It is a ton of fun. Got a 3-day class for sellers. I look forward to hopefully having the chance to engage all of you in that going forward. And I'm just like a kid in a candy shop, excited for the ETA community we're building here at Case Western and Northeast Ohio. So with that, round of applause for all of you. Exciting times ahead.
Thank you, Reed. It must be the air at the top of Everest, right? Reed always brings that amazing energy to the room. All right. Next up, I want to welcome 2 individuals to the stage, Andrew Newsom and Diego Sanchez. So just a little bit about Andrew and sorry? Hernandez, sorry. There's a funny story I could go on. I'm not going to tell the story right now about that, but another time, maybe after the session. They're going to come up and do a couple things for us. They're going to talk about Map Lab Center, and they're going to also introduce our moderator for the final panel of the day. So Andrew is the Director of Mergers, Acquisitions, Partnerships at the Greater Cleveland Partnership, and Diego is the founder and owner of Devs Capital. Come on up.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrew Newsom. As Jeff said, I have the pleasure of serving as the director of the MAP Lab. MAP stands for Mergers, Acquisitions, and Partnerships. And our mission's simple. We are focused on making business ownership more accessible to everybody through acquisition. We work with searchers, ETA entrepreneurs, independent sponsors from underrepresented backgrounds to help them close transactions. This is anything from finding deals, structuring, helping with diligence and closing, working with a network of brokers, bankers, advisors, all really focused on helping get deals done in the region. We've supported over 35 million in deals this year and hoping to do much, much more. I wanted to highlight Diego, who in addition to supporting our team over the last few months, has also his own entrepreneurial story to share.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Diego Hernandez, just to be clear, not Sanchez. So I don't know who we need to talk to about that. But so I started my search about before I closed, it was 27 months before I closed. So my background's in private equity. I help PE-backed companies grow and scale. I'm an immigrant from Colombia, South America, that came to this country at 3 years old, grew up in New York City, and spent the last 20 years here in Northeast Ohio. I'm a graduate of University of Akron with an economics degree, and spent a lot of my career helping companies, much larger companies, and I searched for, to grow and scale. During my search, there was a lot of barriers of entry, different hurdles and obstacles that I endured and went through. Hopefully not everybody has to go through, but I'm also a kidney transplant patient. So August 1st of 23, when I started my search, I was diagnosed with renal kidney failure. So 2 years ago, I did have a surgery to get a new kidney. And I remember after post-operation, I was on a call with my first deal. It was a heavy machinery repair shop. We were deep 6 months into due diligence trying to get that done. And it was the beginning of my search, and I thought I was going to close it, but I didn't. So about 20 months later, I actually closed on a non-emergency medical transportation company. More importantly, I met Andrew Newsom in this search and many others in this group here as well that helped me guided me through everything, connecting me with the right people, the right resources, and eventually I was able to close on a deal. I'm 6 months in. By a show of hands, who here either owns a company or wants to own a company? Okay, so just gauging the level of insanity that's in this room, because you not only have to endure the emotional, physical, and financial roller coaster before you buy a company. Once you get into it, it's a whole nother chapter of life that you have to endure. But I would recommend it to anybody. The empowerment, this financial security, the teams you get to work with, the learning, the curiosity, it's huge. So always go after your dreams if that's what you want. I do work with Andrew at MapLab, Mergers, Acquisition, Partnerships. I help connect aspiring entrepreneurs and individuals and people that own businesses already that are historically under-resourced. So we try to expand and give access to those organizations and help them close deals as well. So I'm happy to be here, happy to be a part of this group, and thank you to everybody that put this together. And thank you, Andrew.
So if you're interested in more information, you can find our contact info on page 39 in the program. We'll also be around. We'll be at the happy hour after this, so definitely come find us. I think Diego's story in particular shows the individual courage, persistence it takes to get a deal done. But the power of ETA can be felt not just at an individual level, but truly at the community impact level, whether that's preserving local jobs, keeping wealth rooted in Northeast Ohio. And that is why it is my pleasure to introduce our last panel of the day, ETA as a growth engine for Northeast Ohio, and welcome Dean Andrew Medvedev of the Weatherhead School of Management. Dean Medvedev knows ETA from both sides. He built a prestigious global career at Morgan Stanley. He is a Case Western alumnus and has returned home to lead this institution to its next phase of impact and growth. So please help me welcome Dean Medvedev to the stage.
Dean, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for being here. Good afternoon. I know that the privilege of standing between happy hour and this incredible crowd is always a double whammy, but I think you're in for a treat. I had the pleasure of addressing you all from this podium, I think a month into my job when we launched the first symposium. And to see the momentum in this community and being on the fourth and building beyond is pretty special. The ability to see this effort turn into what I think is not an exaggeration, a movement that helps renovate not only communities, but inspire people's dreams and opportunity. And for us to show to the rest of the country that Northeast Ohio can be a beacon of a different way for this generation of entrepreneurs to build wealth and build community, invest in themselves, is something that I think is a personal why for me to come back and do this job and build a really special community. A great university does not work without a thriving community that it's built in. And as an adopted Clevelander, I am thrilled at the chance to be a part of something special right here in this town. And that's why I think this panel will be of great value, at least to me, and I think to all of you, as we talk about how this phenomenon can be another lever in this incredible transformation that's sweeping Northeast Ohio. And if you've been here for the last 10 years, I think you've all seen a pretty different region. So please welcome my fellow panelists. First of all, Kelly Laminard, the market president for KeyBank, and my fellow Leadership Cleveland classmate. Scott Lowry, the Richard Osborne Professor of Entrepreneurship, and the co-founder and managing partner of Promise One. And then Scott, the number of titles that you have in ETA world is probably too long to list, so we'll stick with that. And of course, Tim Ryan, president and CEO of Celtic Consulting, former U.S. Congressman, and an incredible advocate for the region. Folks, come on up. Well, thanks for being here. It's always a pleasure to have this conversation. And maybe we can start off with zooming back from ETA and just simply looking at the region and looking at small businesses, right? Because ultimately these opportunities, whether it's 5, 10, $20 million in sales, are at the core of this phenomenon. I'd be curious to hear from your various vantage points, and which I think are 3 pretty different perspectives of why small businesses. How do you see the role that they play in the ecosystem, professionally, personally? What have you seen make it special? Because there's so much conversation that focuses on, can we get Amazon HQ too? What can we do to build the next tower, which certainly I love seeing Sherwin go up, but can we count on that year after year? What can we do on the small business side, which I think probably does not get as much attention as it could? Your perspectives.
Hi, everybody. Okay, here we go. Thanks for having me, first of all. I appreciate it. I just wanted to say that I'm a huge advocate for Northeast Ohio, and I love seeing the growth engine right here at home. I was just part of a dinner earlier this week talking about bringing more conferences and whatnot to Northeast Ohio, a group of site selectors, so people who are looking to expand their businesses. And the line that I coined that I kind of love to use is that I love Northeast Ohio and I love watching other people fall in love with it, because it's just such a huge asset that I want us to utilize so much. But from a small business perspective, Andrew, I mean, you read all kinds of, we haven't had a big recession in quite a while, but that's always where the green shoots come from. And that's where the growth starts. I mean, all of the big companies and whatnot that we talk about started somewhere, and that's where we have to fuel that from the ground up. And I especially believe that we have such an advantage here in Northeast Ohio with all the resources that we have, and with all of the assets, our communities, all of our higher education here in Northeast Ohio. And so I think that's where we have to start.
Yeah, for me, I think about, as an entrepreneur or somebody who got my MBA and, what sort of career path do I want to take? I could certainly go into a big company and make a career, but where can I have the most self-determination? Where can I make the biggest impact? I mean, I was very much drawn to business ownership, small business ownership over typical career paths. And, the question was, well, how am I going to get into the game? I always thought startup was the way to go until I came here, learned about ETA. I didn't really have a, viable strategy. And then I think, to me, I'm from the Boston area originally. I came here to get my MBA, and I stayed because of the entrepreneurship acquisition community. I've found that Cleveland is the biggest small town in America. My access to, Tim and I were talking, we have a mutual friend in Christopher Miser, who was one of the first products of this ecosystem, who's become wildly successful. He mentored me early on. He's an incredibly successful guy, brilliant. But I still use his cash flow model, today. And, the mentors that I've had access to, the bank capital providers, I don't know that I'd be in a place where I could get so much support, and have the opportunity to create things and make an impact, if I wasn't in this, small business environment supported by a community like this.
Yeah, I've kind of had a evolving of like the impact of small business. I got into the state Senate and I represented Trumbull and Geauga County in 2000. And I remember a big steel mill closed in Warren, Ohio, and it was 1,200 jobs, steel workers. I remember going to the Packard Music Hall, and it was literally filled with thousands of family members talking about maybe doing an ESOP to buy it. So it's like big business, man, we got to keep these factories open and all the rest. And then you just track that, through the 2000s, 2010s into the pandemic. And I remember when the pandemic money was coming out, I was still in office, and the number of small businesses that we would work with the local banks to try to get them some money just to stay afloat. Literally $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 would help them stay afloat. And there were so many of them. And you just start to realize, and then the stats of like 99.5% of businesses in Ohio were small businesses. You start to really see the impact. And I grew up just outside of Youngstown in Niles, Ohio. And I remember the Italian guy who had the Italian bakery, and the Greek guy who had the Greek pancake shop, in that small business, you come to find out, like, employs the family members. So it's that small business that is impacting not just that person and his wife, or that wife and the husband, depending on what the business is, it's also the kids. And then, get enough gray hair, you start to see the grandkids bussing tables at the local restaurant. So same in manufacturing. I can't tell you how many manufacturing tours I've done. My district was Akron and Portage County, Ravenna, Kent, Niles, Warren, Youngstown, a lot of mom and pop manufacturing shops where, you're touring them long enough, you come back and here's the son or daughter back from college, moving on into the family business. And so you begin to see quite clearly that it really is the small businesses that are driving the economy.
Let's actually stay with us for a second, because you've touched on something really important now. I spent my career on Wall Street where capital is abundant, and if you have a great idea, phenomenal firms like Key and teams like Kelly's can get you the capital that you need to do the thing you want to do. Your point around $10,000 or $15,000 could have made a difference. It couldn't be more different. In your various interactions with small enterprises, what do you think the critical needs are? Like but for X, right? What is the catalyst that could unlock really meaningful difference for them? Because then I think we can tie it into what this community can do, but we should probably start with that unmet need. What is that?
Two things and pass it back through. It's always capital. There's always a certain amount of capital that's needed. And again, interfacing as a congressional office across my district, it was the small business programs, SBIR, those kind of things that would really help get a small business to the next level or help keep them going. But I've always felt like there was unmet need, and to some extent there are programs that help with this, like manufacturing extension program and other things, about. You have this is probably a good example. You have an old mom and pop machine shop, right? Or tool and die shop or whatever. There's a technology gap in those old firms, and they're making money, they're doing okay. But if someone who knew what they were doing, which is why what you all are doing here with this whole program, this whole initiative is so powerful, is that if they just had somebody come with a new, fresh set of eyes and an understanding of modern technology, whether it was on the back end with bookkeeping or whatever, or on the manufacturing side, that closing that gap in technology would be huge, have a huge impact. And I think, again, what you're doing here is almost doing both of those things at the same time.
Yeah, I agree, and I think about it from the perspective of an aspiring entrepreneur. I needed the idea that there's another way to become a business owner, because I grew up thinking, well, you got to start a business. That's what you see on the cover of Inc. and Fortune are these magnificent startups. So the awareness that there is this ability to actually buy an existing company, that awareness was really helpful. The mentorship, the capital to get that done, and to know that you don't have to have all the capital yourself. There's ways to put that together. And I want to build on what Tim said about most first-time buyers, ETA buyers, that sort of thing. They're typically buying a company that's doing 5 to 15 million in revenue, maybe 1 to 2 million in earnings. They're a little small for the strategic buyers and the private equities, and these companies are missing a lot of stuff. They haven't made the investments in automating the plant or putting in a CRM or like a business development strategy. So they're not that attractive to these fancy buyers. But a ETA buyer who's willing to go in, roll up their sleeves, do the work to bring that business forward, it creates a really interesting opportunity, because first, they're able to buy it reasonably well because it's not ready packaged for these bigger buyers that are going to drive the price up. And then second, once you make these changes, you bring that vision, you bring that technology, you add a ton of value, preserve the jobs, create new jobs. I hear stories of companies like this that just go out of business, and it blows me away, because we got a room full of people here that are dying to find a great company to buy. There are actually companies going out of business because they don't have that vision, they don't have that strategy, they don't have that know-how. So there's huge opportunities to connect these dots, and I think a conversation like this helps with that.
So I work for a bank, so there's certain parameters of which we can help, but certainly, we're looking to grow, and the best way for me to grow is to help you grow. But I would also say there are tons of programs in the state of Ohio that we need to educate ourselves about. Jobs Ohio has some programs where, if you implement certain trainings or whatnot, you can get $15,000 per employee. And I'm, so there's programs like that they know about, that Team Neo knows about, that Magnet knows about. So you should really educate yourself on those sorts of opportunities and those programs to help you with some of the stuff that we were talking about. Additionally, I also feel like, networking is huge. Find people to help. Right. So I've been contacted, a couple of times in the last 2 weeks about people looking to buy businesses. They've got capital. They're looking for someone to partner with. And so you shouldn't be afraid of doing that. And so networking is huge too.
No, I think that's a terrific point about all the various alternatives that exist. And I'm curious, actually, to maybe build on that a bit. We're, I think, all united by our love for the region, whether it's adopted or born. But Kelly, you're a lifelong Clevelander. Like, this place inside out. In your job, you have to know this place inside out, which you do. What makes Northeast Ohio different? And the reason I ask is because what I want to make sure people know is when we go to the world and say, come here to build your American dream, that we know how to advertise the region and know exactly what makes a difference. So what would it be for you?
It's tons of things. Cost of living, amount of resources, the networking that I love, that we live in a big small town that, I can walk into a room and say, oh yeah, I can make the connection of, Case, I know so-and-so that went there. And then you start connecting dots all the time. I mean, the huge lake, we have arts, culture. it really is a great business community. And what people don't know too, I mean, Case isn't a new school. It was formed many, many, many years ago. That happened by a lot of folks that had a lot of money that came here a long time ago, and some of that wealth still exists around this city. And so I think that those are a lot of the things that we have going for us. The cost of living here is fantastic, folks. I mean, people are amazed when they move here. Our head of communications moved here from Toronto, and she said when they moved here, they couldn't believe the price of a house. Her husband said, "Let's buy two." So there's a lot to be said for that. And I mean, also lack of traffic. I mean, I could keep going on and on and on, but there's lots and lots here. I love boomerangs too. I love people that leave and come back. And I'm like, see, I told you. But they know.
Scott, Tim, what do you think? What makes our region and small business communities different than others you've seen elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll just use my own case study. I mean, I had no intention of staying in Cleveland. I came here to get my MBA. There was a 1-year program that I really liked because I was paying for it, and I could get it done quicker. And then the opportunity became incredibly attractive. I heard about the idea that I could buy a business. That got me really excited. I got plugged into a mentorship community in the Promise Partners group, and then I realized that my opportunity to realize my business ownership dream was right in front of me here. And I got to appreciate very quickly all the things that Kelly was talking about. It is a remarkable place. I mean, I grew up outside of Boston. I was living in Colorado and moved there to come to school here. And my friends from Colorado are like, what did you bump your head or something? What's going on? But if I get asked, I start going on and on and on about all the great attributes. But for me, it's simply there's capital, there's experience. We have, advisor community that's world class. I'm talking to lawyers and accountants that are giving me advice that, have been advising very large companies, small companies. There's an incredible deal community here. It's remarkable. And there's a very uncommon ecosystem that's represented in this room that doesn't exist anywhere else. There's colleges all over the country that are teaching this stuff, but there's no 40-year-old mature community of support that's got the kind of outcomes that we have. So it's easy, and people are coming to Cleveland to plug into this, support system in order to become acquisition entrepreneurs. So it sort of speaks for itself.
One of the strongest branches of ACG too, of the Association for Corporate Growth. If you don't know it, you should get to know it. So there's lots and lots of resources through that association as well.
Mine's much more elementary than that. I think the Browns need to start winning some football games, and that'd be helpful. I'd like to see the stadium back downtown. My own personal opinion on the lake, but I think the idea, I mean, it's just the culture here is so phenomenal. It is the grit, it is the determination, and that's what you see with the entrepreneurship here and connecting that money to those folks. The food, I have this guy who raised money for me for the Senate race a couple years ago, and every time I call him just to check in, he's from New Jersey, he's like, "You guys got the best Polish food in Cleveland." I'm like, "Bro, I just called you to check in. You're talking about the food in Cleveland." I think there's an opportunity here that we've not yet, and I thought about this a lot over the years of figuring out how to do this. We have so many people, you talk about the boomerangs, but we have so many people, young people who have left Ohio over the years, left Cleveland, Youngstown, all over, that are out doing really amazing things. And I think somewhere there's a strategy for us to connect with them because, just like the boomerangs that Kelly mentioned, when you grow up in Cleveland, you look at the Browns backers organization around the country. You could go to any state, anywhere in the country on a Sunday afternoon at 1:00. There'll be 4 bars in South Carolina that are packed with 300 people watching the Browns.
Most out-of-town fans per historical win, probably.
Well, I'm sure you're the math guy, so I'm sure that's true. But the point is that there's a sentimentality here. There's an appreciation for growing up here that we have to have a strategy that finds out who are those corporate executives that are out there somewhere who have made some money and want to come back, or like a Christopher Miser who's now in San Diego, but he's still, like, he's the one who called me to try to come to this thing. He's still, his heart is at Case. His heart is in Cleveland. He was part of the Gateway Project back in the day. Like, we've got to figure out a way to, like, connect to those people, because there's a wealth of talent, opportunity, resources, experience that are, if just took Cleveland proper, let alone Cuyahoga County, that we could bring people back here who could put a lot of this stuff on steroids.
I think you touched on something important, which is how ETA can hopefully be a catalyst for driving people back. What do you think are other ways in which this movement, this effort can catalyze the region? What are some of the channels that people have a civic mindset, or a way for this to be a project beyond their necessarily immediate P&L? Like, what would it be?
The impact that it has. I mean, you look at these businesses that would get purchased. You know, some are in Cleveland, some are in Parma, some are in North Royalton. You know, some are on the east side. I mean, it just one small business that gets lit up by this program, and 50 more people get hired, or 50 jobs are saved, or the revenue goes up. That impact on the police, the fire, the school district, like, pitching this out is a broader thing than just, oh, this is a bunch of, you know, smart people at Case doing X, Y, or Z, as opposed to saying, this is how we rebuild these communities that have largely been forgotten the last 30 or 40 years. This is a real strategy with real people injecting real ideas and real excitement into a small town somewhere in Northeast Ohio. I mean, what's more fun than that? You know, you look at you know, as you broaden out, you look at a Ravenna or, you know, a Niles, Ohio. I mean, 50 jobs in Ravenna, Ohio. I mean, the mayor is like lighting up a cigarette. He's so excited about what's going on. Am I allowed to make cigarette jokes anymore? Well, we're in Cleveland. We can make cigarette jokes. But that's the kind of thing that has impact, and you can start tracking the dollars and how that will help the school district and the local community. I think that's an important argument to make.
I mean, I think it's as simple as I have this experience, you know, multiple times a year, and just recently we had all the new MBAs coming in, and we did a little orientation. We talked to them about the acquisition entrepreneurship offerings at the school and the community in Cleveland, and probably none of them came to Weatherhead because of ETA. That's changing pretty quickly. We're starting to see that, you know, already. But like 20-25% of the room was like swarming us at the end. Like, tell me more about this. Wait, you can buy a company? I thought you had to start a company. There's what? And how many people that have gone to the school have done that? So I think just, it's amazing to me, and I had this experience 25 years ago where I was like, wait, what? Like, I don't have to start a company and, you know, not have a paycheck for 5 years, and how do I pay my mortgage and put diapers on my kids? Like, there's just the awareness, I think, that that this has been done. It's repeatable. It's way lower risk than the typical path to business ownership that most people think about when you say entrepreneur, startup. That's just a thing. If we can start to open up that to, well, there's another path, and we happen to have a great community, I think that will bring people to the area, but I think it will inspire a lot of activity with people that are already here. Because there are literally companies that are just closing because they don't have a succession plan. I mean, it's very rare that owner has a family member who can step in. And a lot of people, it just doesn't occur to them that there's people out there that would love to own their business and take it forward, and there's a way to put that together. So I think that awareness, not only attracting excitement from potential buyers, but also creating new possibilities for sellers who don't necessarily know what to do next, you know, because they don't have that, you know, succession plan in their family or whatever it is. It's just I think we'll see a lot of activity just by raising the awareness.
A little bit of a simple answer. We have to stop talking badly about our city. I mean, and with the reaction of like, oh, would you hit your head, or or who's forcing you to go there? Did you get demoted, or whatever. I mean, it's a great place, and we have to stop talking badly about it. I know the winters are a little bit brutal, but I think
So every year.
yeah, true, but I just think that I try to go on and on about the good things about Cleveland and why I love it so much, instead of harping on the weather or the Browns or whatever. So because there's so much more to the city than just that. And to be fair, the weather here is not any different than in Chicago or New York or any other Midwestern city, to be honest. So.
Well, I'm actually glad you said that, because that leads me probably to the final question that I'm going to ask, as our audience, I'm sure, is dying to ask their own. Places like Boston and Pittsburgh, and no offense to Boston and Pittsburgh fans in the room, I'm not sure that there's anything they've got on us, right? And certainly not in terms of assets or history or the industrial legacy, weather you mentioned. But what I've seen over and over again is that the difference is they managed to build flywheels around ideas and opportunities, whether it's Pittsburgh via their technology and analytics center, or Boston in terms of medical and what they're doing in biomed. How can ETA be a flywheel? How do we turn it into a self-sustaining thing, given what you know about the region? What are the ways in which an aspiring entrepreneur can go out and buy her first business, but that actually catalyzes her impact by plugging it into a network, which some days becomes a flywheel that kind of takes off on its own? If you guys have thoughts on that, I'd love to hear.
I mean, for me, it's, I agree with Kelly completely that the thing that gets people's attention is that, hey, you may have never heard of this before, but there's 75 people that are now owners of 110 companies that are doing the thing you just heard about, and I think just point out the bright spots. I got really interested in this because I heard somebody talk about how they did it and where they started from, and I could relate to that. And so we have a lot of, it's not like we're sitting here saying, we just heard of this thing called acquisition entrepreneurship, we should get into that. How do we ramp that up? It's already ramped up. And we have lots and lots of great examples. Let's just share those. And a lot of people are going to resonate with that, and that will build. Somebody helped me do this, and we've helped 10 other people do it since I did it the first time, and that's just me. And Christopher, who we mentioned, has done that times 100. Okay. And there's other people that are in this community that, have done this. It is a virtuous cycle once people get it going. So I think just continuing to share the stories, point out the success, and that it is possible to repeat this way more repeatable than startups. I think we also can talk to some of the capital allocation. There's a lot of money that goes into startups. I think that's great. We need to do that also, but can we invest in this area as well?
I think should be a certain amount of the budget, and I don't even know what I'm talking about as far as how you guys run this thing, but to tell the story and digital stories. Those are, when you grow up here, I was talking about, the mom and pop shop that the kid came in and took over and it's running. That's a great story, right? That's a great story. The kid didn't leave, the kid stayed. And took over the family business, or someone else came in and did the next generation and took this business that thrived in the 70s and 80s and then kind of was just treading water for a while, and then all of a sudden someone new came in who was from the area and took over, and boom. That's a great story, and getting those stories filmed, making them personal, making them emotional, and making them in 30-second clips to keep people's attention span. It's not what it was.
We're down to 15 at this point.
Yeah. Well, you would. Yeah. Again, you would know better than I would. But yeah, just telling those stories that are going to move people. And oh, by the way, what is that called? And also targeting young people too, who may not go to college, who may not go to CASE. Is there a certification program you can do that can, help craft that someone who's not going to go to college or whatever. Not that that's necessary. But telling that story on social media platforms, I think, could be a really cool way to kind of get the flat wheel going.
Excellent.
I mean, like putting your phone on silent, but I couldn't agree more. But we have to be really targeted about what we're after and who we're after to do that. And so I think that we have to, you know, that's why this is so successful here. And you know, I'm sitting up here talking about how great I think Cleveland is. Sometimes I think I'm preaching to the choir. You guys, I think you're all here because you already kind of know that. And so we have to make sure that that is heard more broadly, and social media and whatnot is a great way to do that. So we have to be intentional though about what who we're targeting and who our audience is to make that grow.
No, I think those are all spot on. Well, in the short amount of time we have left between us and cocktails, I want to make sure that folks have a chance to ask. I'm not sure if there's Jeff, there's a microphone traveling around the room. Perfect. Aaron, anyone with, oh, there we go. Kylie. Yeah, push the button up. And slide it up. There. It's all part of the service at the Case Western Reserve University here.
Yeah, okay. So I know why I live in Cleveland, and something I've studied over kind of when I've come back to now. We are the Mecca center of M&A between California and New York City. It's the most unbelievable educational access to help, access to learning. That's why ACG is so big, is for a reason. And so that's why, you know, we have so many people here, I think, right? It is so exciting to have the opportunities that we have here. Last thing is 50% of our economy is manufacturing, and we are in an aging society. So I see people come back from Harvard and do their search funds, and here they come to Cleveland. I'm like, what are you doing? I didn't say that. Why? I know why you're here. But between the ability to have companies for sale and then the ability to have Case, it's phenomenal, and all the things you've done. But we're an M&A center. I know that wasn't a question. I'm sorry. So, but I thought it was really important, right? We're sitting, yeah. Okay, I'll shut up.
I mean, you don't really notice the difference. I mean, I've covered a swath of geography for Key in my 27 years there, and you really do notice the difference in the community that we've built here around what you just said. I mean, Columbus doesn't have this. Cincinnati doesn't have this. The history here in the deal community and the growth and advocacy for it is unmatched. It really is.
Diego. Thanks, Aaron. Hello. This is the one that was on stage. Sorry. Andrew on the right.
Sorry, real quick. Diego Hernandez again. So I'm from New York, and you know, going to college and being in the Army, I always thought of going back to New York and get into private equity and doing something there. You know, graduating from University of Akron, working in Cleveland has really inspired me to grow and stay in this community. I mean, I have a daughter now, but that's not the only reason I stay. It's because of the people here in the community. The Midwestern attitude and culture is much different than New York City. So I'm grateful for that. But a question I have, and you know, I'm helping Andrew Newsom on the Map Lab Center and bringing communities together of color and giving more access to those communities. You know, we have Owners in Honor from Texas coming in. You guys are doing a great job kind of bringing everybody together, these organizations, to bring access, to bring communication, and to really inspire these folks to, hey, you can be a part of this. You can come from a different country. You can come from a different culture, background. We struggle with, you know, self-doubt, whether you're a veteran, whether you're Black, Hispanic, whatever. We all have different walks of life. What are we doing today in your different industries and where you work, whether it's educational and case, whether it's a congressman, whether it's business owner, banker. How are we kind of creating those allies and bringing those conversations in the forefront to really uplift Cleveland even more?
So Diego, I mean, I think the first thing we talked about this in one of the workshops. First and foremost, just codifying what it takes, and then sharing that and encouraging. My experience in this kind of entrepreneurship acquisition community is that the people that are successful are the people that look at what works and execute on what works, and the capital and the mentorship and things like that, are there. So it's still, still a generally novel idea that a first-time business owner can use this, strategy. So I think for me, the first thing is let people know that, as my partner Kevin says, the path is incredibly difficult, but it's also well-worn. Like what works, how you do this. There are very clear patterns of success in terms of the people that have actually done this. So I think that's where it starts, and encouraging people to put themselves out there and be courageous to get on the path. And I think we have a community here that has demonstrated that it will support people that are willing to do what needs to be done. And I think we just keep, and again, tell the stories and be as inclusive as possible in terms of how we tell the stories and that sort of thing. I think can help.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, good.
At Key, we're intentional about that. We have a program called Key for Women that provides all kinds of tools and whatnot that are just specifically designed for women, around networking, around education, et cetera, et cetera. And we also have advocacy networking groups around veterans, around Latinos and Hispanics, around LGBTQ, all different kinds. So there's around vets, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all different kinds of groups to help along that spectrum to make sure that we're addressing that exact issue.
All right, last question. Close this out for the night.
Sorry, thank you.
It works.
I think my question was geared towards kind of like broadening our network. So I'm a student, but also exploring ETA, and I think these events, this is the first one I've attended. It's very helpful, I think, in trying to like build my initial advisor network, let's say. But after this event, I don't know if it's intended to share out broadly the attendee list, specifically like the people who are already advisors or lenders or lawyers, etc. It would be helpful maybe if you can share best advice for getting connected with people maybe we didn't get to connect with, or if there will be a share out of like, here's who attended. If you didn't get a chance to meet them, you're looking for advisors or lenders or lawyers, here's their contact information to get in touch.
Alex, great point. If you could follow up with my colleague Jackie Sanders here, and she could help you out.
And just to add, so when you complete your survey, it's our little thing to get the survey done, there's a whole resource guide that you'll have access to, and that does include attendee lists. It includes a tremendous number of resources, from articles to different guides to prior symposia that we've had in earlier years. So you have the full breadth of access to all of those resources. And more will be coming.
I would also tell you though, when you network, like find exactly what you're interested in, and make sure you have a goal in mind, right? So what is it that you're trying to get out of that networking event? Are you looking to buy a business? Are you looking for advisory services, or what you can provide? So just be intentional about that. But it's the other great thing about Cleveland, people will respond. They really are willing to help you. I can't even count, I should say, the number of resumes and whatnot that I get from like, hey, my son just graduated. I will talk to almost anybody. I don't always advocate, my one son's knucklehead friend. I'm like, yeah, don't hire him. But in any event, like I'm always willing to have a conversation. So people really are willing to help. Just know exactly what you want out of it.
I'll add one more thing. So, Reed did a great job, commercial on the course that he teaches. I would encourage if you're sitting here and you're saying like, my reaction when I first heard about this as a potential strategy was like, that's it. I can't not see it now. And I was all in. If that's how you're feeling about this, go right into the epicenter, take a course like Reed's course. You're going to be in a room of 20 or 30 people that want to do this. That will get you plugged directly into the Promise Partners community. And then you can branch out from there. We have the opportunity here to immediately surround yourself with people that get it. A lot of people, my partner Kevin talks about how he was offered an opportunity to join a small company as an ETA entrepreneur, go work for McKinsey, and his dad thought he was nuts. Why would you go be a CEO of a $100,000 a year revenue company when you could go get a big paycheck and work with this prestigious company? Most people don't get it. There's a whole group of people around here who do. So I would I would start there and work out from the middle.
Excellent. Well, absent a microphone, please join me in thanking the panelists for closing us out. And Jackie, I believe it is within my deanly authority to declare the bar open.
Oh wait, I think. Yeah. Yes, please.
This is also why I never give my brother the mic at a wedding.
I didn't coach him well enough. You just want to? First off, we want to thank you very much for being here. We, as a token of our appreciation, we have a little gift. Well, we have also made a donation to Owners in Honor on behalf of our speakers. So, and this is just a little thing. So thank you so much. And we really appreciate how the conversation today started with our heroes, and then it ended with how what we are doing with ETA is impacting more than your families to kind of create the great American dream, but also our community. And we hope that you see that opportunity, and what's gone on today has excited you and encouraged you to keep investing in yourselves and investing in the opportunities and resources that are here for everyone. So, thank you. You're welcome to come off the stage, and thank you. You're not trapped forever. Thank you. And I just want to say a few words, because it has truly been a fantastic day. I think I've been able to retain my job, thanks to all of you who are still here. And so my 90 days are good. There's a lot of very special thank yous that are in order, because there has been a tremendous number of people who've done a lot of work to make today be what it's been. And first off, I really want to thank Scott Lowry, who is running off because he's a bit shy. And Scott is the originator of this event, and he's the visionary behind Weatherhead's curriculum today. And he's really the spark that has ignited why we're all here, and built on what Professor Osborne developed 40 years ago and what Promise Partners has taken through, and really created this very special network that really doesn't exist anywhere else. To that end, I want to thank Brian Lombardi and the Promise Partners team, who it's incredible what they've done, and not just what they're doing, but the way in which they're doing it. It is so important, and our partnership is so important, and I'm very excited. We're having a big strategy session in a couple weeks, and because we're looking to see how we can take that further. And the things that we were talking about on the stage today, how do we implement them to make sure that we're really bringing in the right people to expand the opportunity? There's a lot going on. It's going to happen really, really quickly over the next 5 years. So it's up to us to create those connections, to get rid of the fragmentation, and to make people's dreams come true, and to do it in a way that is responsible. I want to a big shout. I think Lawrence Migelski, there she is. That is the woman who makes things get done. She's incredible, and without her, we wouldn't have had you here. Also to Jack Fitzgerald, who is somewhere here. Jack is a student extraordinaire. He really drove the pitch competition for the students, which was fantastic. He's also been my right-hand guy, helping me along the way, and also with Scott Lowry. And so many, many thanks to Jack for all of his work. For the Shaws, who are tremendous mentors to our students. I mean, I've seen the students go from their first presentation to their second to third, and the growth in them has been considerable, and they did a fantastic job today. And a lot of that is due to the Shaws, as well as Kevin LeJudas, who's also been a huge supporter. And then to the dean's office, Tracy Wise, who got me on my feet while I was like, what the heck is this organization? There's so much bureaucracy and we need to get things done in 3 months. It's been really wonderful. And the extended team at Weatherhead and Case, from Nikki Anderson in the donor relations team, Case Marketing, Media Vision, our video, the team here at Tinkerville. It has truly been a lot of people working a lot of hard hours, and we are so appreciative. And finally, to Dean Medvedev, it's your vision for Weatherhead as an innovative and relevant change maker. The world is changing, and this university is changing along with it, and ETA is something that is going to be a big part of that future. And I feel very grateful for the opportunity to be supporting it as we take it to the next level. So thank you very much, and really look forward to you all continuing to be engaged. There's that QR code with the, oh, that's not the right QR code. Is that the right QR code? No. That's the right QR code to take the survey and to get access to all those resources. Please stay connected. We will be reaching out, and thank you very much for really a wonderful, exciting, empowering day.
My turn to make sure you don't come off the stage. A professor of mine a long time ago taught me that every problem is an HR problem. And those of us who've owned businesses, I think, know what I'm talking about. In this case, what an incredible addition to the team you've been, and what an incredible job you've done. And thanks for making sure that we don't have HR problems, we just have HR wins. Jackie, you've been incredible. Thank you for all of that you've done, and for your help, and for Lauren's help from Promise Partners. Again, a token that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of our appreciation. Scott. Thank you. And Lauren, where are you? Come on up. Thanks, partner.
All right, now we can see the bar is open.
Now I'm allowed to say that the bar is open.